All right, well, great to meet you guys. Nick, did Tim tell you what we're going to do here? Jessica, do we all know, or should I give a quick high-level overview of what this whole thing's all about?
High level.
Okay. So Helium, we do the marketing for companies like Party City and PetSmart and Nucor Steel and One Tom Plumber and big franchise brands, mid-sized companies, defense contractors, lots of B2B, B2C, lots of brands, but primarily mid-size and enterprise is where we play. So mostly companies about 5 to 10 million in revenue to about 500 million is kind of our sweet spot.
Okay.
So brands that they're kind of out of the first 5 million in revenue where it's like just absolute guerrilla warfare, right? Of just getting revenue and trying to grow. And now they're trying to really take that next leap. And so we work with what's called challenger brands, right? So Rocket Mortgage is the 800-pound gorilla, right? You guys want to challenge and grow in your area and grow in your markets. You're not trying to take them on, but also, you're not a shop with 5 people that's like, we just want to sell some mortgages. Like, you're trying to grow, you're trying to scale, right? And so you guys would be what we call a challenger brand. So we work with a lot of those. And I'm happy to tell you more companies and clients, but what Helium does, and just a little bit about us, is, I guess you pull up our website for just so you can see. But what we do is we help companies solve 2 problems. 1, not enough people know who we are, so we need awareness. Number 2, I don't get enough leads to grow my business, so I can sell more deals and grow. That's what we solve.
Okay.
So we do that with a couple different services, but we're a Google Premier partner, so we're like to become a Premier partner, put that in perspective, took us 7 years to earn that badge. We've done over $100 million in ads for clients. So we've spent a lot of money in ads and learned how to do it. In terms of SEO, and we're rated a HubSpot partner, Inc. 5000. We're a Microsoft advertising partner, and we rate for Search Engine Land, Search Engine Journal. Like, we're pretty well respected as one of the SEO experts in the space. So it's a little bit about us, just so you know who we are and who are you? At Helium, so we're about 50 employees. We grew from $0. We started the company at 25 grand, and we did 10 million in revenue, and all that came from just straight up advertising, doing SEO, doing paid ads, getting people in, we didn't raise a bunch of money and all that. It was just customer funded growth, right? So that's a little bit of my background. And then I was a med student who dropped out of med school, who wanted to be an entrepreneur because I looked at surgeons. I was like, oh, that guy hates his life. I don't want to be a surgeon. And I saw entrepreneurs. I'm like, that guy's having a great time. You work just as much, but the work is more fun.
Yeah.
In my opinion. All right. So that's a little bit about Helium and who we are, what we do. Any questions on any of that?
Yes.
This LiftOff Framework, okay. So where this came from and kind of how we ended up here and the conversations with Tim was, I've been doing digital marketing for companies for 14 years. I also have run sales teams for my own companies. I've worked in a bunch of sales organizations like Yellow Book. I worked at, they had 6,000 salespeople and like these really big organizations. In the last 14 years of doing digital marketing, what have I learned? And what are the steps you have to take if you want to actually succeed online? And so many people are trying to do digital marketing. It's a very competitive space. It's hyper competitive. What do you actually have to do to win? And what are the mistakes companies make along the way where they're like, I want to grow, I want to succeed. And you guys spent money on marketing before, but then like that didn't really drive the result you wanted, so you turned it off, right? So the purpose of this framework meeting is for me to come in and say, what are the things we've learned? What are the mathematical, scientific processes you should follow in doing marketing? So that when you spend $1, you can predict and know what return you should be getting. So you're not just like hoping and praying when you spend money on marketing to see what happens, right? It's not guessing. It's pre-planned science and data, not guessing, hope, and belief. Does that make sense? Yeah. So many companies, they do their marketing budget like, hey, Jessica, how much do you want to spend on SEO? They're like, I don't know. How much do you charge? Well, we charge $3,000. Well, let's do that. Versus, what's the expected return on investment? What's my ROAS need to be? How many leads do I need to generate? How much is Rocket spending? What would it cost to be here? What would this generate? How do I win? We don't take that approach a lot of times. We just buy from a vendor, they tell us what to spend, and then it does or doesn't work, versus having this really defined approach. We don't use that anywhere else in our business. Like, that wouldn't work in sales, right? If like, make some cold calls and sell some deals. Well, how many cold calls? Well, I don't know. Well, how much do I sell for? I don't know. Like, you have to have a whole process, right? We have to have a defined process. So what today is we're going to go through this process together. There's a questionnaire, which I believe, Tim, you have you have copies. Oh, super prepared. Okay. Can I have one of those copies? Is there an extra one? If not, I can pull it up.
If you want to, I'll pull it up on mine.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, so you filled this out, so we'll go through this.
I did not fill it out, but we have some answers.
Oh, you didn't. But we'll go together. We'll go through together. No worries.
Yeah, it's.
So this will ish. That's right. Well, this is what this is here for. This is what we're here for. So today, guys, our goal will be to fill these 8 out. When we leave today, here's what the purpose is the goal is gonna be today. We leave with a really clear, how much money do I actually have to spend to get a new customer, right? How big do I want to get? Therefore, how much would I have to spend, right? What is my customer acquisition cost? What's my lifetime gross profit? When I get a new customer, how much do I make? How much can I afford to spend? How big do I want to get? And it's a marketing plan. It's not guessing, let's try to spend some money, see what happens. Does that make sense? That's the goal. And then when we're done with the frameworks, we do this. Then there's some takeaway homework after. Then we get back together and we could do it over Zoom if you guys want, but there's a 1-hour recap meeting and let's put it all together into a plan that you guys can go execute on.
Okay.
Right. So whether you use agencies, whether you do it yourself, it doesn't matter. This is the plan. Like this is what we're going to go do and everything should work. That's the goal. So it should be very actionable.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So let's start at the very top. We'll start at 1 here, but really fast. Let me run you guys through the 13 phases, just to give you this high-level overview, then before we dive in, okay? There's foundation, economics, and the engine, okay? So, Tim, can we just shoot through these real fast? So step 1, and by the way, these are the 13 steps you have to take, and really should be done in this order. A lot of times companies they just don't know all of them, so they skip steps accidentally because they just didn't know that they were there. But these are really the way we should do it. First is we define your ICP, your ideal client profile. Like who is your buyer, right? So this is an example, like when I did work for tire discounters, they had literally like a persona doc they sent us and they're like, here's Sally Homemaker. She's 32 years old. She drives a minivan. She doesn't care about tire brands. Her husband does care. So when you pitch to her, she's going to have to ask her husband and she's going to buy the mid-grade tire because she doesn't care about performance. It's like, oh, snap. Okay. And like, this is John. He has a rice burner. Rice, whatever, the ricer, whatever. He cares about Kumho tires. He wants the special brand because he wants performance tires and he wants this. And like, they had it down to a science. Like they really knew their personas. It was like, oh, snap. So then when they go to write an ad, they're like, who is this targeting? Is it targeting John with the rice burner, ricer? What rice? Am I saying the wrong word? The like Hondas, they're all souped up Hondas?
Yeah.
Right? Was that my saying the right word? Am I taking crazy?
No, you're listening. You got it.
Danielle, you would know, right? Is it rice? The ricers, right? So I heard now? I don't know. Okay. All right. Well, no, it's when they soup up Hondas, right? And they put the pipes on them, they make them like this tall, the wheels stick out. Yeah, whatever. Okay, fine. That guy, okay? So then they're like, who's the ad for? Like, oh, it's for Sally Homemaker. So it has to appeal to the husband and budget and minivan. Like, got it. So then you're writing the ad because the ad that the guy with the souped up whatever, he could care less about minivan tires. It'll never appeal to him, right? Okay, so ICP and personas. So we want to think about firmographics, persona, jobs to be done, disqualifiers. Why would this person buy from us? What do they care about? What are their pains? All that stuff, right? So this is the first thing we'll want to start with, right? Jessica, what's your role in the company?
So I'm VP Talent Development. So I help with trading and also marketing.
Oh.
I'll put together any like our flyers that we have.
Heck yeah.
Media, that.
So this would probably be a really good thing for you to do is build the personas. I can send you some of ours, but you basically create like 2 or 3. Give them a picture, give them a name, like really try to fill this person out like you were creating an avatar, right? Like you were creating a movie and like, I'm going to hire this actor, this actress, really fill them all the way out so you can visualize them. And when you think about like, so before we make ads, like our marketing manager who we sell to, we call her Madison, right? Like Madison Baines. And so then we think about like, all right, what does Madison hate? She's like, well, she has an SEO company. They've been with them for 6 months. Results are not moving at all. And she came out of a meeting and she asked for rankings and nothing's up. She's really frustrated. Like, all right, that's Madison. So then my Facebook ad is, did you just come out of a meeting with your SEO firm? Nothing's moved in 6 months and you know it's not going to work. And she's like, that's me. But I'm speaking to her, right? So that's the benefit of ICP. Never mind. I didn't want to share any rest of that. Okay, we're good. All right. So ICP persona. Okay.
It took too long on that.
Oh, it took too long. That's my bad. That's on me. All right, cool. Let's go to the next one. Then we uncover digital watering holes. Where are the places that ICP spends time online? So if you're doing talent acquisition, it's the same thing. People look for jobs on LinkedIn. You don't send job offers on TikTok because it's the wrong platform. It's not where they spend time for that, right? So then we figure out the digital watering holes. Where is that person spending time online once we know your personas, right? Okay, next, the 5 Ps of marketing. What is your product? What is your price? What is the placement of your ads? What is your promotions? Like, what are the promotions? Do you have specials or discounts or offers? These work all the time in other businesses, right? Starbucks, come in before, 2 a.m. and, or 2 p.m. and get half off this drink or whatever. And they come in the store and then they buy $20 worth of other stuff. And then the other P we say is purple. So this idea of purple cow, there's a book from Seth Godin called Purple Cow. And his idea was, he's like, if you look at a field full of cows and they're all the same, you're like, okay, they're all mortgage companies and they're kind of like, it's all the same. So then when you have a field full of cows that are the same, it's a relationship sale. I win you because you like me, but not because I have a unique sales proposition of why you need to use Helium. Does that make sense? When you have purple cow, the idea is people look at the field and they see a bright purple cow. They're like, that is different. And it will attract people because it's super different and unique, and people will be attracted to something that's different, right? So the Cybertruck is a good example. You see Cybertruck and you're like, wow, okay. And you either like, that's the coolest car I've ever seen, or like, that's super ugly. But it's really polarizing. No one's on the fence with the Cybertruck. They either hate Elon or they love Elon. They hate the Cybertruck or love it. No one's on the fence. So it's a good example of good marketing because it's hyper polarizing, right? So for you guys, you don't want to offend people. That's not the goal. But if you guys thought about it like, what do I have that's truly different than all these other mortgage companies? If you don't have an answer, then you won't look different to the prospect. Prospect will be like, well, why buy from you? They're all the same, right? Banks have this problem, right? Where it's like, buy from us at our bank. Why? Well, we're nice. Well, they all said that too. And then people just look for rates. And then it just drops down to rates, right? It's not truly special. So how do we make it unique? All right, next one, promotions. We'll talk about promotions in more detail. How do we get people to notice and care and buy? Placement, where do we put your ads? What's known as interruptive versus native. So if you run a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, you're doing other things and then boom, an ad pops up, interruptive. You're watching TV, interruptive. Native is I go to Google and I search and there's an ad, but I'm on Google's platform. I'm not being interrupted. It's just an ad on the platform. You're reading a blog and there's an ad on the side. You're reading a magazine, there's an ad. Those are native ads. So they're put in the content as part of the content versus interrupted. Organic versus paid. Are we paying for the placement, or is it an organic placement? So are we showing up somewhere organically, or are we paying to be there? So those will be things we'll want to talk about for your buyers. Depends on where your buyers are, would be what kind of ads you want to run or content. Okay, next, please. All right, so for the business owners, this is the part that really matters. Guys, this is the part that businesses miss all the time and marketing teams miss. So we'll ask them, we'll say, okay, what's your marketing budget? They'll say 100 grand a year, whatever the number is. Like, okay, cool. What's your lifetime gross profit on a new customer? They're like, don't know. Okay, what's your customer acquisition cost? Don't know. Well, how do you know how much you could spend to get a new customer? I don't know. Well, why 100 grand then? I don't know. Right. And then it's just like, we pick the number and we're trying stuff. And it's like, cool, but that's not going to scale, right? So what we have to do to figure out to keep marketing super simple, lifetime gross profit is you get a new customer in, how much lifetime profit am I going to make on this customer once they become a customer of Helium for you, right? Then the customer acquisition cost, what is the total all-in cost of sales, marketing, everything to get this new customer? These are the same, you lose money, right? Because if you spend $100 to get a customer and they pay you $100, you don't make $100 in profit, you actually lose money, right? You want this to be at least 3 to 1. So if it costs $1,000 to get a new client, you want them to pay you at least $3,000 in gross profit. That's a 3 to 1. That's usually pretty decent. You can scale with that. Below a 3 to 1, usually your customer acquisition cost of marketing is too expensive. It's too hard to scale because you have to spend so much to get new clients. To get it really good, companies get to like 10, 20, right? So they spend $1,000 and they make $20,000 on a customer and they can just spend all day long, right? Because they're like, sweet, I'll start spending $3,000 on ads. Oh, I just got 3 new customers. I got 60 grand. And then it becomes this flywheel where they just keep pumping into marketing and they grow like crazy. Does this make sense, by the way? This idea of LTGP to CAC? I know that's a mouthful, but it's basically how much they pay you, how much you make from them, divided by how much they actually cost to get. This number is super important. And I was actually surprised at Helium. So we ran ours. Our CAC today is $25,000 to get a new customer. 25 grand. Soft. But our average client pays, like, our lifetime gross profit's 44,000. So we're profitable, but not super profitable, right? Like, so I looked at it, I'm like, we're taking way too much money to get a new client, right? So my sales team's too big, my SDR team's too big, my marketing expense is too high. I'm not closing enough business for how much I'm spending. Therefore, I either need to improve my marketing, I need to improve my sales, or I need to spend less, right? Because I'm spending too much. All right, so we're going to work on this today. 30-day payback. This part's super cool. All right. How often, just tell me for your guys' business, when you guys get a new client in, like you get a new customer in, how long does it take you to get paid? Like if I sign up tomorrow, I want to be a new client, like how long until you get paid?
Create a budget, something like that.
Okay.
Just because it takes us, after 30 days, could take a week.
Right. And then do you get let's talk about your business for a minute, because I want to understand this. If I sign up, so you guys, you sell mortgages, right?
Yep.
Let's talk me through, let me just finish this and I want to talk through your business so I can really apply it. The 30-day payback, there's this idea. If I spend $1,000 on ads, I get a new customer in, it takes me 8 weeks to close them, right? Then I get closed, and then it takes them 30 days to pay. By the time I've spent money on ads, it's like 4 months before I recoup the revenue. So then what happens is you're like, I'm going to spend $100,000 on ads. You're going to float that money for like 4 months. And it becomes very, very hard to scale your marketing because it takes you so long to get your money back just that you spent on ads to go put more back into ads. You with me? The 30-day payback is, can we organize or orchestrate your campaign in such a way where I spend $1,000 on ads and in the same month I get paid back the $1,000, so then I can go back and spend it on ads again to go get more customers. You would shorten that cycle of spend on ads to cash, spend on ads to cash. This is why e-commerce is so good, because you run ads for e-com, they go and they buy, credit card, payment, boom, they just run more ads. And they could just, right? So we'll talk about this, but can you guys walk me through? So just so we get this part, like we can really talk about it. Who are your clients? What do you sell? How much do you get paid? Like, let's go through all that so that we can really think about how we could shorten your payback period.
Here, you want to pass these down and I can kind of talk through a few. So we have a couple different ways that we get clients. Some of them are through like what we call telemarketing, where we'll have people here, they're outbound calling to customers that we've targeted that have a high likelihood of wanting to refinance typically. So either they have a high rate, they have a lot of debt that they would maybe want to consolidate.
And is that your main pain point, is people wanting to refinance, not first-time home buyer?
Good. So kind of, yes. So we have multiple different, 5 years ago, we were probably all refinance, 95%. Now we're probably somewhere around 40% purchase.
I seem like right on
refinance.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Yep. So we have the telemarketing. We have to acquire that data. We have a team that calls it, then they transfer it over. We have to look through it to see if it's going to be an actual viable loan.
Yep.
Then we pass it on to a salesperson, a loan officer who's going to call the person back, sell them whatever they can do, a mortgage that, is going to benefit them in some way.
Okay.
So then we do some internet leads. So that's the second one there. I have it labeled as,
real quick, just
go for it.
And these are dumb questions. Tell me they're dumb. When you're doing the refis, you guys are not actually pulling the mortgage. You're getting them you're a broker, right?
Yeah, we're a lender.
You are a lender.
Yeah.
Oh, so they actually lend through you.
Yeah.
You're a bank.
Yeah. Well, we're a mortgage lender. We're an independent mortgage bank. So or IMB. So we're going to take it and we're going to sell it to Rocket.
Right.
And we're going to line that up before we even sell the loan, close the loan.
So you're not going to serve my loan.
We're not going to serve.
But you are the lender. So you're not going to just come to me, broker, and hey, we're going to get this deal and get a commission. You actually are the lender, but then you sell it on the back end to Rocket or whoever.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they pay you, they buy the loan from you essentially.
They buy the loan.
Got it. Okay. That's what I thought, but I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. So
when you sell a refi loan to Rocket, let's say I buy tomorrow.
Yeah.
How long until you get paid, and what's your average income on that? Like, what's your average acquisition?
Yeah. So like Nick said, it's about 26 days, something like that.
Okay.
Average.
26 days. Okay.
And we're averaging probably around 2.5% on revenue. So every 100,000, we're making 2,500.
Oh, wow. That's really good. What is the average home that you're refinancing then?
It is $322,673.
So about $7,500.
Yep.
In revenue.
Yeah.
Ish.
About 8,800.
What? 8? Okay, let's say 8. Yeah, the closer we get this, the better. Okay. So 8,000. We'll call that lifetime value. Or do they buy from you multiple times, or do they buy?
So that's why we had an issue with coming up with some of these numbers, because one of our main sources is we go back through our prior customers and continue soliciting them through either we have a company that we've kind of worked with called My Home IQ. Yep. They send a list of, here's your property value. You did a loan with us. And they target, here's what your rates are. They monitor whether they're searching for homes online.
Smart.
And then we'll credit monitor people that we've done a loan for.
Okay.
We're allowed to do that still since we actually did the loan. So we monitor to see if they are applying for a new mortgage, and then we follow back up with them. And then we have we'll go through, I don't know, the other month we went through 1,000 customers and just went through to see if there was a benefit for them to redo a loan, or we'll keep an eye on rates. And when rates go down, we'll go in, we'll keep an eye on it. We get updated from the credit bureau on people that have significant debt. So we can see if we did a loan for somebody and they ran their debt back up, we can give them a call again, say, hey, we can redo your loan.
Okay.
So in the year to date, we've done 122 loans that we did a loan for somebody before.
Oh, phenomenal.
So
say that probably, and not all of them, but probably they're going to do 2 to 3-ish, maybe more than that, transactions, especially in this rate environment. The lifetime value is greater than like the rate environment during COVID when rates are at 2%. Of course, we are redoing some of those, but I'm not going to refi to go to 7 just automatically.
Right.
So I would think that the lifetime value probably would be a 2x multiple, because some of them are going to go higher than that and do multiple.
Okay.
yeah, so
I agree with that. I think that's smart to estimate.
Yeah, so year to date we got like $1.1 million.
This and this though, right?
Yes.
You bought a house.
Could be 8 months. Well, the refi could be 8 months late.
That's true. That's fair.
2 to 5 years,
Okay. But still total, if we spent money on ads, if we get this person in, they probably aren't this, they're probably this over time.
Correct. Over time.
Okay. And on that LTV, the lifetime value, what is the lifetime gross profit of that probably?
Which one was that? That was the CAC?
No, that's customer acquisition cost. Lifetime gross profit is, so if I sell this for $16,000, how much of the $16,000 is non-pass-through cost that could be profit? This is not net profit. It's minusing out all of your hard costs. So like, if you're like, oh, I got to turn around and pay this bank that and this thing this, and
first of them around was probably
3,000.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what all costs we're associating to it. I mean, if it's all the cost of the company, then it depends on how much we do in aggregate. But for that,
think of it as gross profit. So it's revenue minus actual physical hard cost that you can't profit on. So it's like your cost of it's your cost of delivery, but not all of your cost of business.
Probably up to 40 to 50% on the first one.
Okay.
Though is probably closer to like 30%
profit. Okay. Oh, why does it go down on the second one?
Well, the second time around, it depends on what channel we do them through.
Okay.
But I would say that the acquisition costs, like to get them, this is there, and again, because we already have them.
Right.
And then, in general, like depending upon.
But wouldn't it be more profitable the second time?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, but
I said it backwards.
Yeah, because you said here it's 4,000, and then you said it probably goes down to 30%. I was like, oh, really? Like it seems like it would go up. Oh, you're saying 30% is the hard cost.
Yeah.
So now it's probably 70% on the second purchase. Oh, got okay,
Yep.
okay. So that's what's 70% of 8,000?
5,600.
Okay, yeah. All right, so let's call it 5,600. So Nick, according to those numbers, so if you take 26 days, $8,000 lifetime value, you actually probably could gross profit on it, 4,000 on the first one. Second one, 5,600. So then total gross profit of a new customer is $9,600. And that could be split over 6 months. That could be split over 5, 7, 8 years, depending upon between first refinance, second refinance. Is that right?
Yeah.
Tim, do you think the first-time home buyer or is this one going to be significantly different than the refi?
Not really. Our average loan amount on that's 301 versus 320. So
Okay.
Still in the same ballpark. Our average revenue on it's a little bit lower. It's like 2.4 or something like that, 2.3.
Is it worth redoing the numbers for these, or is it close enough to be like it's the same?
It's pretty close. It's close enough to be the same. Yeah.
I think the lifetime value of first-time home buyer, it marketed the right way post-close, and kept in contact with, and we did a really good job. They typically tend to be younger first-time home buyers. They're probably going to refinance. Like, they might have a higher multiple in general.
Okay.
So as an average, like, some of them would be 5.
Sure.
But I would think that they would probably be more like a 3X. That's probably not their final home they're going to live in and stuff like.
Yeah, totally. And by the way, these are what we're doing here is trying to get estimates so we can think about marketing and how we would go about this, right? Over time, you want to get to a system where you're tracking this and you're tracking your customers from customer acquisition cost to client, how long they buy, how much they buy, how much I made on that client, what marketing channel that drove. Eventually, you want to get to that level of sophistication, because then you can get really good. Like, oh, wow, when I run meta ads, I get first-time home buyers, they buy 5 houses from me. Versus TikTok, I get this. So that's the long-term, really high level. But right now, we don't need to go there. Estimates are fine.
There's also a value from, for instance, what this doesn't show, those icon buys, which is, online ads that are forex.com, but the thing, grillthrough.com. I've had some of them where, in demoing them and doing the lead sources themselves where I've closed, and they sent me 3 or 4 referrals that I was able to close as well.
Oh, nice.
We've had to attach to a real estate agent that didn't have one. And that agent's now sending business back.
So that'd be great.
There's some value there too that's not as traceable. It is traceable, but it's not as attached to as those numbers, We'll
talk about that in a minute. But that can be a channel, right? So we'll talk about channels. But there are different channels, and what you might find is I have to spend $3,000 on ads to get a new refi, or I pay that CAC to the realtor. Mm-hmm. And I get 5 leads for the same amount of money. Therefore, my leads cost me 1/5 the price by paying the CAC to the realtor, right?
I have a question.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that.
We're not allowed to do that.
Okay, you're not allowed to. Got it. But so then
edit that part out. Yeah.
So then bribing the realtors. Got it. Okay, I understood. That's it was sure would stink if I left my Porsche here. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Say the CAC looks like in the CAC, Tim, that you added the LO commission.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be in there?
What's LO commission?
Commission that we pay out after it.
For CAC, yes. Yeah, because so what we're trying to figure out here is if you get a new client, so to keep it real simple, you sell a widget, you make $8,000, but you got to pay $4,000 of it back to the manufacturer who made the widget. Okay. I can only make 4. The CAC is to get an actual new customer, what is everything I have to pay to actually get the client in the door? That's CAC, right? So think about lifetime gross profit this is the amount of money you could possibly make on this.
Yeah.
Right? And the CAC is how much everything I had to spend to get the client.
Yeah.
Right?
Good.
So
if we had loan officers that were on salary that were making significantly less than through that channel, but
your CAC would be less. Yeah.
In theory.
Versus if you have to pay them more commissions, your CAC would go up because every sale they would get paid commission on. Yep. And that could affect your lifetime gross profit, but not necessarily, because if we think about gross profit, that wouldn't be in there. That's net profit, right? So why we want to think about gross profit is we want to think about what's the total amount of money I could make. But if you guys take AI now and replace half of your team with AI and your net profit doubles, your gross profit still doesn't change, right? Because you just removed headcount, but there was still half of this that you could not have made because you don't get to keep that money. Does that make sense? Right? We use a simple example. I sell these chairs, right? This chair costs $100, but I buy it from the factory in China for $50. So if I sell a chair for $100, no matter how much potential stuff I make, I can't make more than $50 in profit because I literally have to pay the factory for whatever. Now you can raise your prices, but without raising your price, the most I can make on the chair is $50. That's the idea of lifetime gross profit. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay. All right. So lifetime gross profit. So let's say LTGP is on a customer is $9,600. Is that, are we confident enough to say that? And you get paid 26 days after you close a sale, right? So you get the first $4,000 26 days after you close the sale, right? It gets wired to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is that right?
Basically.
And how long from the time a lead comes in till they buy? Well, how long is that time frame?
And
Yeah, if you had to say average.
30 days.
Okay.
I mean, it really depends. Like, if it's a purchase lead, for instance, like they might take 6 months to find a house. Like, it's just no telling. Sometimes we get leads that are active buyers that are looking to refi now, that are looking to do it now, and like they go right in, in a day or two.
Okay.
So sometimes we'll get leads that we have to continually develop over time, touch points, and get them back.
So you think 30 days probably? Okay. So let's think about like 30-day payback here. So let's just use an example. If you spend $1,000 on ads, okay. So this is on ads. You got a lead in, okay. From the time that this lead comes in, okay, to close is, let's say, 30 days. Okay.
Close.
Then you have a 26-day to close. Oh my gosh. Close. And then to cash, this is 26 more days. So basically, if you spend $1,000 on ads, the lead comes in, 30 days to close, 26 days to cash. So you're not going to get paid on this $1,000 for at least 2 months, probably, right? Is there any way you could get paid faster? Is there anything you can sell that gets you paid quicker in your business, or
No.
there's not?
I mean, there's lead types that make it go a little bit faster.
That would be interesting. We could find out how to market to those people that go quicker.
I think it's marketing to people that are in the market. Like I said,
Yeah.
the I can buy leads like from their, they already have like a purchase contract. If we're super competitive on price, like that cuts out that 30 days that it takes, when you get a lead, possibly on average.
Right.
If they're ready to refinance and they're online looking at rates right now, like when we've had those where they're given pricing and they want to refi, we get hold.
Yeah.
Find close within 3 weeks, something like that. You're always going to have probably a minimum of 3-4 weeks just because that's the one process.
Right.
So it just depends upon how much you can take out of that 30-day gap at the beginning.
All right, so that makes sense. I just for sake of argument, let's just leave this as it is because this is probably what it's going to be for your business.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just asking that because sometimes it's like, well, we could just sell them on the first meeting. Like, oh, okay, like try that, right? But also that may not work, right? Yeah, like Tim, right? Doesn't always work to do that.
It does.
I tried to sell him on the first meeting. I'm like, hey, you can do this framework. And he was like, whoa. I literally tried that for the exact reason where it's like, ours is always too close. We meet, we do the discovery call, then we do the proposal. And I was like, let's just test if we did it faster. I tried, it didn't work. Tim didn't like it.
Then you have to start getting them in the pipeline though. When they're in the pipeline, we have a conversion rate of closing that we can sort of have, with certainty, percentage is going to close.
Right.
It's not
100%.
getting the money right away or something. It's more getting them in the funnel.
No, and so let's talk about this. Obviously, the shorter we can get the payback period, the better, because you spend $1,000 on ads, you wait 60 days, you make $4,000. Like, that's good, right? It's when stuff stretches on really long, or you spend $1,000 and you make $500. That's when campaigns start to fall apart. Here's for you guys probably where campaigns are breaking or dying, is you spend $10,000 on SEO, and then you don't know how many come in and how many close and how long and how much they spend. And then it's like, what are we getting for this, right? And the SEO firm's like, well, we're driving a bunch of leads. Well, I got those leads already anyway, and they were clicking on, and then there's just no actual data tracking. Like, it's not actually tracked. So that's like, well, I don't know what I'm getting. And then it's right. Then it's like, well, I don't want to spend money on this, which you shouldn't, by the way. Don't spend money on stuff that can't be tracked because it's like, who knows? So your payback doesn't seem to be terrible. So what it seems, let's just make sure we got the numbers right. If you spend $1,000 on ads to get, which I don't know if that's the number yet, but just you get a lead. They take 30 days to close. You get 26 days to get cash. That means for every $1,000 you spend, you should get paid within 56 days, and you get paid $4,000. You spent $1,000. This would be LTGP to CAC. Well, it's not full CAC, but let's just say that was of 4 to 1. That's how this would work. Are these numbers you guys think like pretty realistic for the space, for your business? We good?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on the source, and it's going to depend on how competitive we have to be on price. So, for example, when we're talking about doing some of the internet leads and some of the lower margin loans,
right,
we're going to be at, on average, about 4,500 to 5,000 on that top line.
Not 8,000.
Not 8,000. But those are going to be ones, typically we're going to be more competitive on price. We're going to get them there.
You win more of them.
You're going to be able to, like, we're able to get competitive on rate on those because we're typically funneling them. We've got a lower commission rate that we're paying on those to the people that are working them. So it helps kind of, they're actually, if you look at LTGP to CAC, it's actually the most profitable lead source, even though we're making less.
That's interesting.
Because we're paying less to the LO and commission versus what we're paying them for all the other sources because they're more.
That's interesting.
So where we're making less on those, but it also, to Nick's point, gets them in there, and then they're,
He's giving the specific reference of the internet leads that we had.
Yeah.
Because we're marketing our actual price.
Right.
So it wouldn't necessarily mean that we would be on all it.
Correct. Yeah.
It just depends on it.
Yep.
Let's look at CAC. So right here, you have an LTGP to CAC ratio of 1.57. Oh, on telemarketing. Sorry. Okay. Self-gen, web lead, RCM prior. How did you calculate the LTGP to CAC ratio on this, Tim?
Well, we took the
cost to acquire divided by the units.
Yep. Well, cost to acquire divided by the LTGP, average rev. It's the fifth line down.
Okay. Average revenue, LTGP. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's average revenue, not LTGP. It's average revenue.
Yep. Well, I mean, essentially, yes. I mean, that's what we're getting paid on the first one, on average, based on a number of units.
All right, so
year to date.
Let's go through some of these, because if those are your lifetime gross profits, then I already see the problems that we can identify. So for telemarketing, the CAC is $5,662. That's your all-in cost you have to spend to get a new deal, right? That means you lose money on your first sale, because your lifetime gross profit on that's $4,000, and you spent $5,662 to get it. So you would make money by the time you close your second deal with them, but you'd lose $1,600 in your first deal. Am I understanding the numbers correctly?
Maybe I didn't put the numbers together correctly. So on average, we're spending, including commission, fixed cost for software, and the cost to acquire, which in this case for telemarketing was all of the all-in cost, the headcount, telemarketers, leads, data, all of that. It cost $5,600 to fund the loan, essentially. But we got paid $8,800 when we sold it.
Right. Oh. So that is the $3,000 difference. Is that true net profit?
It would be.
That's net profit, not gross profit.
Yeah, that would be net.
Okay. That changes the numbers, because then
net of the cost to acquire.
It's cost, stuff like that. But yeah, for the acquired.
Yeah.
Because the problem is if we use net profit, it screws up a lot of numbers. Like it kind of messes with this, because when we think about advertising, like it can be very hard to trace ads all the way down to net profit, because like if you decide, hey, I want to make these 3 business decisions in the business, right, it will affect net profit, but it will not affect the ad campaigns necessarily. And so it's generally, you don't want to run ad campaign to net profit, because there's just so many decisions that can be made below the gross profit line that affect profit that do not affect your advertising campaigns. Where basically what you're trying to do is make your advertising campaign pay for themselves. But net profit is decisions of your headcount, your office space, your software costs, assistants, like all the stuff, right?
He's not talking about net, though. He is talking about gross.
Yeah. So they're done off the gross. So not counting the second or third transaction, The average loan that we do, we get $8,800 gross.
From telemarketing costs $5,600. So your net gross profit on that would actually be $3,000.
Grace, yeah.
Gross. I'm sorry, I said net. Lifetime gross profit would be $3,000. And then on the second loan, it would still be higher because you don't have to pay the telemarketer. Or I guess you do. You still have to pay the marketer?
No.
To call them back?
No.
You don't. Okay. So would the whole $5,600 go away, or there would be some cost, but it would drop a lot?
So if you look at the fourth column, that's our prior customers.
Oh, okay.
So,
wow, it's $2,100 less.
right.
Got it. Okay. So then let's update these to be, well, the problem is based on, did you sum them at the end? I guess, what is your average CAC between all of those? Do you know what your average CAC is? For you average all these?
I didn't, just because they're all so different.
Yeah.
I got to pull it up here. We can.
Let's, so why I really want to try to get this figured out, and Tim, thanks for taking the time to do this. I know, like, that's why the homework, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, I'm back in school. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. But this part is just really important, because if we don't get the math right, then you can't have confidence in what to spend online.
So average is 4,000.
Okay, and I just had an idea. So the average is 4,000. If you were to do, so we're talking, now we'll talk about all the different ones, but probably marketing web lead. Is this a special, those are different web leads, or that's if you do any type of web lead? Like
That's what I've spent money on Google.
That's what you've done
so far this year.
So let's use this one then for now, because telemarketing is this whole other animal.
Yeah.
That's a whole different animal. So let's just use the web lead bucket for now, since we're going to think about marketing ads and that strategy, although other stuff in can apply here. So let's use the web lead one. So then it is $19.25 average revenue. So the average revenue is $49.42. The average CAC. So what is the difference between these two? Is it $3,000?
Yep.
Okay. So let's just use that one as for this one was 3,000. Okay. All right. So 3,000. And then if they came in via web lead, the second time they'd be an RCM prior, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then what is that? That one is RCM prior, average revenue $8,900. Wow, that goes way up. Oh, they're buying better. They're buying a bigger home. So their next home is bigger. Oh, right. Okay. $8,935. What is that delta? Like $5,400? Okay, so $5,400. That ends up being $8,400 via web marketing. Is that right? Is that correct? That's the gross. The total gross if you sold 2 deals.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then here's what that means. So $8,400, let's take a third of $8,400. So if we were shooting for an LTGP, lifetime gross profit to CAC of 3 to 1 at least, we would need, if this is your lifetime gross profit, it's $8,400. Then what's a third of $8,400? Like,
I did have rubies.
Call it $2,900. Okay. Thanks. Okay. If we stay disciplined with just this math, and this math is correct, that would mean for a 3 to 1 ratio, you could spend $2,800 on a web lead, close it, and still be a 3 to 1 because you'd ultimately make $8,400. Now you might say, if you're smart, which you're smart, well, $2,800, I only make $3,000 on the first one, so I make $200 on the first transaction. Yeah, it's not great. So you guys could decide, do we want to base this LTGP to CAC on total lifetime or of the first purchase, right? Which you might want to do, because it would suck if all of your web leads had $200 in profit the first go around and then they all made a bunch more money. But that is an acquisition strategy, right? You acquire a ton of customers at barely break even, and then you sell them the second thing at way more profit. Like, that's a land grab strategy. Like, that's what venture capitalists will do. They'll pour like software, like Salesforce, right? Salesforce didn't make money for like 20 years. It was just acquire, customer, and then they turned off marketing some, and there's like profit was skyrocketed, right? So that is a strategy, but probably not the strategy you guys would want to do, right? So first question, would you want to base this on your full LTGP and spend money as though it was this number, or would you want to spend money as though it was this number? What do you guys think?
Good.
I think probably putting it somewhere in between would make sense.
That's a good. I didn't think about that. Good point.
Because we're going to convert a large amount of them, but we're not going to convert all of them. So
It's true.
something like 1.25 or 1.5. So it probably makes more sense to, if we're going to plan strategy for acquisition.
So we could call this like realistically 4 or 5,000. You think 4? Call 4. Okay. It's your guys' call. It's steering. I don't have a dog in the fight on that one. All right. Oops. I got rid of the wrong thing. The dollar sign. That didn't help. There we go. So 4,000, and then let's call this. What's a third of that? 1,300.
Fussing up.
1333.333 repeating, but who cares? All right. So right now your average web lead cost is $19.25. So you're in the ballpark, right? You're in the ballpark. All right. So what this means is if you're going to make $4,000,
And you're talking about, but you're talking about 1333 per convert.
per closed new customer,
Because we could get
not per lead.
admin trash credit.
Totally. So this has to become, for this to work, this has to become your all-in customer converted new customer cost, right? This has to be what you pay to get the customer, right? If you pay more than that, you'll drop to an LTGP to CAC and you'll just make less money. And then you won't be able to sustain the campaigns.
Gotcha.
Right. All right. Everybody, are we on the same page? Did I lose you guys yet? We're good?
All good.
Okay. So this is probably your CAC on web leads is probably it probably needs to be, well, this isn't your CAC, but it needs to be 1,300. Right now it's 1925. Okay. So it's too high. So there's a couple of things we can do. If you want your ratio to be really good, you can charge more money. You can charge more, right? Make more money on each customer. That's one thing. Keep the customers longer. Now we do 2 houses, we do 4 houses. Well, if your CAC is the same, your profit's going to double on that customer. Can you drive your CAC down? Can you spend less on ads and spend less on web leads and get better leads? That's the way you can do it. So now you have some levers. But if you have this math, when you go in to do your marketing, you know this is the max I can pay for a new customer. Therefore, if the channel cannot drive this, I'm out. Right? So then you go into it without hope and feeling and wonder. This is what I need. Can this channel deliver new accounts at this price, all in closed, or no, I lose money? Does that make sense? Okay. So, Tim, can we go back to the LiftOff framework real quick?
Sure.
Por favor. Great.
There we go.
So 30-day payback. So we're going for payback. Now, you can't have 30-day, but you have a 60-day payback. So that's pretty decent, okay? That's pretty decent. Okay, so LTGP to CAC, we've talked through this. 30-day payback. Now we're ready to talk about the next steps. So now, how do you decide where to go and what you want to accomplish? We know we probably shouldn't spend more than $1,300 to get a new lead. Probably, okay? And we're probably going to make about $4,000 on that new client anytime in a near window, okay? All good. Any questions before we keep going? I just want to, why we're spending so much time on here, and this is the stuff in there, this is where all of the business owners miss it, right? They don't sit down and do any of this. So then they just start spending money on marketing and there's no clear plan of how much can I spend. And then, next month, if you're like, I'm gonna spend 50 grand on marketing, whatever that is, you divide by the number of new customers you got. And if your CAC is $6,000, you're like, I'm definitely losing money. This is not working. Then right? And you're like, oh, my CAC was $800, crushing it. But now you know exactly what you're shooting for. And then you work on the channels and you work on the messaging and all, you got to get all that stuff right. But now you know what you need to be at. That's the benefit, right? That's why you got to go through this. And so, very few companies ever do this. And they just start spending money and guessing and hoping, and then it doesn't work out. And they're, I don't know. And then they, right? Not saying that you did that. I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying this is why we do these LiftOff frameworks. Do you feel like I'm picking on you?
It's definitely my fault.
Yeah,
Yes, that's fine.
No, guys, I did this. I've done this for my own business, right? I have wasted so much money on Google ads and SEO and all kinds of stuff that hasn't worked because I didn't have any of this ready. I didn't know what to do, right? I hired a whole sales team and we were cold calling and I hadn't ran all the math and thought through this stuff. And I was like, well, my CAC is way too high.
We definitely trial and error stuff.
Yeah. Right. So this is why we do these. So that's why I'm here. So now you have this number and you're like, oh, I know how much is the max I can spend. So now when you think about marketing, can I get a realtor lead in? If I can spend this or less, I'm golden. Then right? And then it's like, this is how much I can spend on each closed deal. All right. Here's another cool thing too. you think about marketing, and okay, just make sure you're still running. If you think about marketing, a couple things you can do. You can't pay realtors, but can you pay other people for referrals? Like a homeowner?
Like stop.
We will allow them for the referral, but we can't pay them if they close. So we'd have to pay them
Really?
per lead. Yeah.
Well, what you could
Government, you know.
Yeah, I know. On a government, prison, dang, don't go to prison. It's not worth it. So here's just something to think about. If you now know your CAC is $13.33 and you're like, this is how much I can spend, right? I would rather pay that to my customers than to Google or Facebook. I could, right? Why not? So if it's like, hey, well, how many mortgage leads do I need to close a new deal? 10. Well, what's each lead worth to me? $130. So if I told the homeowner, hey, do you have any friends and family who we could help? Sure. I'll pay $130 for every introduction. Okay. How many can I introduce? As many as you want. Because now I know my math. I'll pay $130 for every single introduction because I know that's my CAC is. I'm just paying my CAC to them, not Google. So just some ways to think about it. When you know that, you can start offering things differently. I'll give a quick example. So Helium, we had like no reviews. No one was leaving reviews. We had all these customers. People were really happy. And so Hormozy talks about this. Alex Hormozy, who owns Acquisition.com, which is one of the guys I follow. He said, if people aren't leaving reviews or they're not buying, it's because your offer sucks. It's probably not the product. It's probably the offer. Your offer is just not good enough, right? Like, okay. So then we said, well, how do we get reviews? Well, our account people have to go ask our clients to leave reviews. And the clients have to actually want to leave a review. So we tried all this. We asked them, like, can you please go ask for clients? And nothing happened. So then we were like, all right, let's pay every account manager $200 in cash for every review that they get. You guys want to know how many reviews we got? A lot. Yeah, a lot. Like we spent, Dana, how much did we spend? Like $10,000 or something?
I want to say it was like at least 40 reviews in that time frame. So
we had like 15 reviews and now we have like 60 5-star reviews in like the span of like 60 days. All these clients, they were like, we love working with Helium for 7 years. Why'd you leave me a review now? Oh, I don't know. And the DSC is like, because I was like, can you do me a huge favor, please? Because they get $200 every review. And it was just an offer thing, right? And so now we're like, oh, let's go get referrals from customers. So I learned from that one. I'm like, what would cause Nick to refer me to Tim? Oh, hey, Nick, if you refer me to Tim, I'll give him $1,000 off his first month. I'll give you $1,000 off, and I'll pay my account manager $1,000 to ask for the referral. And they're like, done. But the offer, it has to be a good enough offer. So all I'm doing there is I'm paying my CAC to our team, not to Google, right? So you can get really creative with your marketing when you know what your CAC is, because you're like, sweet, wow, how could I deploy that $1,300, right? Within the law of what you can and can't do as a mortgage broker, but as a lender. But yeah, you now know how much to spend on stuff. You can create way better offers, right? Okay, let's go to the next one. So now here's what we got next. All right, budget. So now we're ready, okay? So this is where budgets come in. Let's do a quick time check. What are we at? 3:08. We're good until 3:30. Is that everybody good until 3:30? Cool. So budget. So now that we've got this, now we know how much budget should be. So now we can work backwards. So let's say we went to Google Ads and we're like, all right, Tim, let's figure out Google Ads or whatever, right? This is as an example. We could now say, well, how much budget would I need to spend to drive this many leads, and what would my CAC, like now we can just do the math and figure out what's your conversion rate on Google Ads. Well, that's 10%. How much does every lead cost? $50. Oh, okay. So then we'd spend theoretically $500 in CAC to get a new customer. That would be actually really good, right? So now we can work backwards no matter what channel, Google Ads, Facebook, Meta, Instagram, well, Instagram's part of Meta, TikTok, whatever channel. You guys now can work backwards from CAC. You can figure out what your budget wants to be based on how big you want to grow. All right, so on budget, here would be my recommendations. Do you guys have like a 1-year goal, 2-year goal, 3-year goal? Like, do you have a goal of like, we're here and we want to be here, or we want to close this many new customers? Like, do you have a specific goal you could work backwards from?
Yes.
You did. You have a goal.
Yes.
Okay. Can you share that goal?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sweet. Okay. I want to share. Do I ask?
We were getting there.
Okay.
Hold on.
No, if it's like super confidential that we
No. I think we had 20. We didn't write it all down. We met on this the other day. I think 2027. We're looking for
Give them a deadline to
Yeah, he did actually this morning that we needed to get this part figured out.
That I have.
We kind of
It's all good. My goal is 100 million, so we're going for it, man. We're sending it.
Yeah, I think we were trying to judge it on units, and I think we were, where did we land? Like 2,000 units next year in 2027.
I'm not sure.
We're going 2,000 units in 2027.
I'm in on that number. I love 2,000. Okay. All right. So let me tell you how you would do this. Okay. So budget, what we would do is, how many units are you going to sell this year, do you think?
Probably 1,200.
Okay. So that's a difference of 800. So you need to grow by 800 units. Okay. Obviously, you can grow across different channels. Let's just assume you're going to do all that with web leads, which you're not. You can grow other channels. You can also just pay the best leads might come from your current customers. You pay them the CAC. I have no dog in that fight. But the $800 or 800 units. So if we wanted 800 units, we know this is the CAC. I don't want to mess that up. Who can use a calculator for me? What is $1,333 times 800?
Let's see.
I'm a med school dropout, so I can't do the math in my head.
It's a
$1,066,000.
Okay. So realistically, with these numbers, you're going to need to spend $1,166,000.
Yeah.
You're probably going to need to spend this in marketing, however you spend it, to drive that many new leads or paid customers. I'm sorry, not leads, paying customers. That's probably what's going to cost. Okay. Just with the math that we run of what all your historical data has been. So this is why companies don't grow the level they want. Is like, oh, I want 800 new units. Like, what's your marketing budget? Well, we spend 20 grand a month. Well, it's not going to drive that, right? It can't, because of the CAC. It just can't. Unless magically the marketing gets unbelievably better as it goes higher, but it doesn't. Usually your CAC goes up over time. Your ads get more expensive the more you run them, because it runs to the hottest people first, and then it runs to a colder audience, a colder audience, a colder audience. So they get more expensive over time. So then you can be realistic with, how much do I really want to spend? Do I want to spend to do this, right? And you might say, well, I want that, but I don't want to do it via marketing. Well, that's a whole nother conversation, but this is how you would use marketing to grow, right? Does this make sense? Okay. Then for budgets, now we would work backwards and say we need 800 new units. Where do we allocate across all the channels? So where am I going to get 800 units from? Is it ads, SEO, paid social, billboards, bus wraps, TV, sponsoring the Paycor arena? Like, where are we going to run the ads? Where are we going to put the content? But we have to drive 800 new users. It's going to cost $1,333 probably per new user we're going to have to pay for in terms of CAC. That probably will also go up over time. So just be aware your CAC usually goes up because ads become less effective over time. And then we would recommend testing. So we would recommend don't go all in on channels. Don't just start spending $1 million. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. You should test across channels, right? So if you're like, here's our LinkedIn, here's TikTok, here's SEO, here's paid ads, here's the banner or bus wraps or whatever. So you test the different ones. And then I would also work backwards from, where am I most likely to close the business the best and what has worked for me in the past. You try to be smart with that stuff. Okay. That's how you would set budget. So if we, like, for example, we said this is the total cost it's probably going to be. That's the amount I have to spend to get that. Then you start to divvy up your testing budget. And I would start testing first with smaller numbers across different channels, knowing it's probably going to cost that much in marketing. That's what that looks like. But we've figured out that if this is your CAC, this is your LTGP, you make money, right? So this should turn into 4 million, or roughly 4 million in actual lifetime gross profit. You spent $1 million, right? But that's why these numbers have to be like really tight. Before you spend $1 million on marketing, you got to make sure that this is going to happen. So I can tell you guys, we have clients that they have $3 million media budget, and their total marketing budget is, in the millions. This is the kind of, like, our meetings are all this. It's this stuff. It is, what was my customer acquisition cost per channel? What was my cost per lead per channel? It's every detail per channel in the deep weeds, because when you're spending millions on marketing, you really want to know what's happening, right? You're not just spending and sending and seeing what happens, right?
So I understand.
Yeah.
Question on the 13th. Up there, we're including like dollar commission in the CAC.
Yeah.
Everywhere as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be as after 1333 though.
Well, no, this is if you wanted a 3-to-1 ratio and you wanted to be, so this is not in there, but if you want to be 3-to-1, this is what we need to spend, right?
I got you.
So this is the idea of like, this is where we should be, at least here. Yeah, you're not there today, but this is where you want to be. And so what that means is we need to spend less to get the leads. We need to spend less than $1,900 per new customer on web for you to have a 3-to-1 LTGP to CAC. Because what will happen is if this, the further this goes down, the less money you start spending. You spend this and you only make 1.3, and you're like, I'm not making any money. I'm spending all this money and I'm barely making money on the new customers, right? And then you eventually, as it goes up, and then your CAC goes up, and you're like, I'm actually losing money, and then you turn everything off, right? So the reason we have to keep this delta there is that the ads, as they get less efficient over time, having like, it's really big, like Apple, right? If your profit margin is like 100%, if I'm the consultant, I'm like, Tim, here, buy this thing, and it's me, and I don't pay myself for my time, it's 100% margin. As I scale the business and I have offices and employees and taxes and legal and all the stuff, my margins will go down the bigger you get. Typically, your gross amount of profit goes up, but your margin percentage goes down. So that's why it's really key that we operate at this level, so that as you scale your marketing and you don't sell unprofitably. Does that make sense? It's not this today though.
No, I got you.
Yeah, but maybe we can make it that, right? All right. Cool. Can we go to the next one?
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. So now lead magnets. Okay. This is super important. Do you guys know what lead magnets are? Okay.
No.
Lead magnets. Any of you guys use Meta? Like ever?
Yeah.
I use Meta. You use Meta? What's your favorite social media platform?
Quick Facebook.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Not TikTok, Instagram. Like, you like Facebook the most?
I don't really use TikTok.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't have TikTok.
And I don't really go on Instagram.
Okay.
I have one, but I don't really go.
Same.
Do you use Facebook? Yeah. Tim, what's your favorite?
Probably Instagram.
Sounds really popular. All right. Do you guys do any social now? Do you guys do really any social, paid social, anything?
No paid.
No paid, just some organic?
Yeah. I mean, we've got,
We're posting stuff,
yeah.
but that's really it. We're not doing it
Like it's not even necessarily reaching a lot of our,
It's
the 3,300 from the newer 4,000 or nobody likes. So we have
Yeah. It's going
it's like
same, but it's going to the same people like my mom.
Thanks, Mom.
My mom. Yeah.
That's my Facebook.
I can count. We can count on at least 2 likes.
Yeah.
My mom and your mom.
I posted my chicken coop, and it's like all my family, and my wife's South African, so all my South Africans are like, great coop. I'm like, and then you post a business thing at like crickets. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, all right, whatever. All right, let's talk about social for a minute. Lead magnets. So the reason I'm asking this, you guys have been on social and you've seen an ad, right, for something pops up, right? It's like, hey, do you have back pain? Right? Do you have back pain? And when it hurts when you stand this and thing, you're like, oh, okay. Then you click on it, and it doesn't take you directly to a chiropractor. It takes you to like, hey, here's a free at-home assessment you can do in 2 seconds. Decide if you have a slip disc, right? Like, okay. And then you put your thing in or whatever, right? If you're like, another good example, like movers, right? Like you're going to move or whatever. It's like, hey, are you looking to move and you're going to move houses? Would you like our free 15-step checklist of all the things you got to do before you sell your house? Okay. And they click and they, whatever. These are called lead magnets. So on Google, when you Google something like, mortgage lender, like mortgage rates or whatever, and you guys have an ad that's like, check we're the cheapest in town. And I click on your ad, right? I know what I'm getting myself into. Like, I know that I have to go to your site. I probably have to talk to somebody, or like, I get all that, right? When people are on social, that's not what they want. Like, people don't want to go on social and be like, I'm going to book a meeting with a mortgage company, right? They're on Facebook looking at pictures of grandkids and whatever, and Instagram, like we're playing, right? So on social, you have to do what's called lead magnets. You have to give somebody something of a lot of value for free to get their attention off of social onto your stuff that gets them in your funnel. So a lot of times companies miss this, especially B2B companies miss this, because they're like, this is not how they do business. Like, I'm going to just run my ads and say, meet with our sales team. Like, doesn't work, right? So you got to give more value. So we don't have to go super deep into this today, but I just want to throw this out there. If you guys are doing social, and you want to drive more success through social, especially paid, have lead magnets. So in your guys' space, we can think about them real quick. What's something that, take your average customer, maybe they have a, super high rate. Like they refied after COVID, they're paying like 8.5%, right? It's like, oof, brutal. What's something you could offer that person for free that could be, they would really see value in? They would be like, oh my gosh, I would pay for this.
I mean, attached to the transaction, just really like be appraisal cost or but only out of pocket cost. But I don't know if that would get them to want to do a transaction that's.
What about a refi calculator?
Yeah.
That's like, hey, do you know if you rate, do you know you're wasting hundreds of dollars a month on your mortgage? I have. Click on that, it goes to a page. Hey, put in your current mortgage rate. We'll show you, and your credit score, like put in your mortgage rate and your credit score, and we'll tell you how much you could save on your mortgage. Click, 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 boom. They put their email in or something, right? And then it comes back with like, you could save $557 a month on your mortgage. Interested in talking to somebody? Right? So you create some interest first. Like think about Costco. You walk there and they've got all the little stations and she's like, teriyaki chicken, right? And you're like, oh, okay. Then you eat it and you're like, wow, that was really good. Where did I buy this? Oh, in that freezer over there. I would have never gone to the freezer and looked for that thing, but they give me the sample and I'm like, right. That's the idea of lead magnets is you give somebody something where they're like, I'm just scrolling through Facebook. I'm not thinking about my mortgage rate. And then you're like, oh, you could save thousands of dollars a year on your mortgage. How? And then you have a calculator and they're like, oh, frick, I could spend $600 a month? Yeah, I want to talk to, right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a lead magnet. So it's really important when you guys do social, not to send people like, here's the analogy we use. Don't propose on the first date, right? The propose is like, I don't want to talk to a sales rep yet. Like, I'm not ready to get married, right? The lead magnet is like, hey, want to go for drinks, right? It's like you meet on Tinder and you're like, want to go for a drink, right? Like you don't go straight for like, how many kids, right? No, you killed it, ruined it, right? And we do this all the time in business, right? Where like we run our ads and we're like, meet with Helium's, get a free consultation. And they're like, oh, a free consultation with your sales rep. Like, what high value? Swipe, and they just keep going, right? You're like, frick. Versus now we do, hey, get a free SEO audit. Are you worried about your web traffic? Are you worried you're wasting money on SEO? Get a free SEO audit. People love it and they fill it out. And some of them are interns and they're in Pakistan and they're in countries we don't serve. Okay, fine. But then we get ones that are like really big companies, like legit companies. We're like, oh, sweet, right? So we cast a wide net and then you get some really good ones in. So we don't have to like go into this in too much detail, but if you guys do social, also lead magnets work really well on your site for every other channel too, just FYI. When we started using lead magnets, our leads and conversion rate quadrupled on all of our channels. Yeah. So someone gave us the feedback like, I hate your offer of only making me meet with you. I don't want to meet with you. Great. So now our ads were like, you don't have to meet with us. We'll give you a free SEO audit. People are like, yeah, I don't want to meet with you. And then they eventually meet with us. So whatever. All right. But only if they're a good client. All right. Can we go to the next one, please? So that's lead magnet. Now we talk landing pages. So then if you're going to do digital, right, now would be the time. So now you got budget, you got CAC, you got all the stuff planned. Now is when you would start building landing pages, sending traffic there. You got your good offer, you got your promotion. By the way, we skipped promotions and offers. Do you guys have any like special offers, promotions you guys do that's like buy one mortgage, get one free? I know that's not a thing, but like you get like, are there any like super cool promotions you guys can do?
I mean, it kind of is.
Okay. What do you have?
I said it kind of is a thing where like we're currently doing, I forget what's called, but the Advantage refi where they take a loan now purchase refinance, in the next 36 months.
Yeah.
Change if we're going to waive all of our lender costs, like $2,200 value.
Oh, you'll roll them into a new one?
Yeah.
I love that.
The rate go down.
I love that. UBS told me the same thing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So I think people attach value to that because I think a lot of people, especially in this market, taking a higher rate.
What's that called?
A customer advantage refi.
Advantage refi. Did you brand that, by the way? Like, have you guys branded like Advantage refi trademark? It's like this ours?
No.
Can you?
Probably.
Just a marketing idea. I would take a name here and brand it. Make it yours. right? Like the Advanta refi. Like, what's that? Because what you just told me there is awesome, and people would love that. UBS told me that. I'm like, that's an amazing deal. I was instantly in. I was like, yeah, I want that. Like, I don't want to have to refi that sucks. He's like, yeah, we'll just automatically lower your rate when the loans go down. I'm like, I'm in. Let's do this, right? Loves it. But he didn't have like a special thing. So imagine if you guys were like the home of the Advantage refi. Like, what's that? And then people are like, what's the Advantage refi? That could be a lead magnet of itself, right? So now the Facebook ad is like, now the Facebook ad is, hey, do you have a high mortgage rate? But it's a hassle to refinance, right? It's such a hassle to refinance. You got to give them all your credit scores and your blood type and your urine sample and your kids' names and I've been there. It's a hassle, right? It's like all my kids' passports. I'm like, why do you need all my kids' passports? You get all the stuff over there, and then they finally get back to you with the rate, and then it takes forever. And you finally get the close. Like, well, I don't want to do that every 3 years. That's a freaking hassle. So then you show that in the ad. It's like, hey, imagine if you could refi once, and as rates go down, we automatically just refinance your loan. Oh, yeah, I want to learn more about that. Like, hey, want to learn more? Right, that. But then you market it, you brand it as your own thing, and it's like only the czars, right? That's what I do. Because then you got something, because remember we talked about Purple Cow and unique sales proposition, right? You want something that's like who's your top competitor you guys hate? Who do you hate the most? Like, who do you not want to lose the deal to? If you lose the deal to these guys, you're like pissed. No, come on. I know you have somebody. We'll edit it out. Don't worry. We'll edit the names out. Don't worry. Yeah, we'll edit the name out, right? Okay. So you don't want the person to be like, hey, Bob, are we doing this deal? Nah, man, I went with Frick, right? Like, not those guys, right? Like, all their, they all get all stuff from BlackRock, and you're going to get screwed with whatever. All right. So now imagine if you could say, hey, we're the only ones that have the Advantage refi. Well, what's that? Like, hey, you're talking to Jetstream and Rocket and whatever. Yeah, and Quantum or whatever. Yeah, I'm talking to those guys. Hey, well, none of them have the Advantage refi. Well, what's that? Oh, it's this really cool thing where we can do blah, 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 blah. And now you're different. Now you're not just rate. I got you on rate. And they're like, yeah, but they all have rate. Now it's, yeah, our rates are great, but check this other thing I have that no one else has, right? This is exclusivity. You separate yourself as something different, right? There's something there. Okay. Let's keep going just for time. I know you guys are busy. And all right, so landing pages. So this is where you'd have landing pages. You'd have a page for that. You'd send traffic from whatever. All right, let's keep going here. We got a few more slides. Website design and CRO does matter, by the way. It matters what your site looks like. If your site doesn't look good, it won't convert. I think we talked about we're going to help fix some stuff. I think, yes. No. But this does matter, and this is because you do all this work to get people there, and then if the site's like, ugh, people just leave. You're right. That's exactly what they do. Like, you do all this work, and they're like, no, they just leave. If it loads slowly or it doesn't look good. So that stuff does matter, but do it in this order, okay? Next one, please. All right, this is the part. Tracking attribution CRM. All right, tracking, what does attribution mean? There are tools called end-to-end tracking. It's called attribution tracking, where you can track campaign to cash. ERP systems like NetSuite. Do you guys have an ERP like NetSuite or anything like that? Not yet. Probably at your size, maybe not yet. Some companies do. There are tools, you don't need them today, but as you grow and you get more sophisticated with marketing and you spend more money, you'll want to have attribution tracking, which you can basically, here's how much we spent, here's how many leads we got, here's how many customers we got, here's how much they spent, here's how long they've spent, here's our lifetime gross profit, here's our you want to track all of that. So then you can track back to my TV ads, my web marketing, my this channel, how much I actually made, how much profit I made. Campaign to cash is what it's called. So there is tracking here. Would highly recommend setting up tracking. Use your CRM system. What's your CRM now? Salesforce. So this can all plug in open APIs. Salesforce can also do this, but then you track you connect your Google ads to HubSpot, to Salesforce, to QuickBooks. You connect them all together and then you can tie it back, right? So you don't need to go to an ERP, but you just connect them all together. They can talk to each other. So many companies don't do this and then they have no idea how much they're really getting for their spend. So please do that part. It's really important. Whoever you do it with. All right. Now you'd be ready to talk about marketing, right? Now it's SEO, Google ads, meta ads, organic, social. There's also the core four. So these are the 4 ways that you get new clients. Cold outreach, warm outreach. This would be calling existing customers. They already know you, right? Cold outreach, calling brand new people who've never heard of you. Post free content, that's free social, right? Or like this, if I post this content, be like, that was an interesting thing, that'd be free content. Run paid ads, right? So those are the 4 ways you can get business. Think about it this way, if you kind of cut this way, these ones are one-to-one, highly effective one-to-one. These are one-to-many. So you want to be spending time on both because you have telemarketing, so you want to have, one-to-one, but you want to have one-to-many because you can do a little bit of work that's highly leveraged that goes to a bunch of people, right? And then step 13 is if you go to the last slide, it's just ongoing campaign optimization, which is measure and review, cut and scale. So you kill underperformers and you don't spend money on stuff that's not working. Relentlessly test. Don't just put your marketing out there and just send it and hope it works. Like test all the time, and then you compound gains, right? So you keep doubling down your spend on what's working. So if you have a $500 CAC on TikTok, just keep doubling your budget until it stops working, right? All right, so that's the LiftOff framework. Let me stop. What questions do you guys have? I know it's a lot. I know we dug into data here. Any questions first before we make sure we got all these? No questions? Okay. So let's real quick, let's make sure we got the questionnaire. So all in CAC, we did that today.
Yeah.
So and you have, Tim, the CAC is basically, your guys' all in CAC is based on the different channels. So telemarketing, I can buy CDS. So you have your CAC, okay. We talked about lifetime gross profit, good. Your LTGB to CAC. So your guys' LTGB to CAC ratio today is 1.57, 1.68, 0.96, 2.51, 2.57, and 1.85. So for marketing, would strongly recommend 3. So your web lead is at 2.57, so it's close, but we'd want to get that to 3-to-1. So we'd want to try to drive either the CAC down or the LTGP up, right? Because you're shooting for a 3-to-1. I'm not making up these numbers, by the way. Like this is like really well-known data. If you look it up, like LTV to CAC. So like when private equity or venture capitalists buy a business, they are trying to scale the marketing on a 3-to-1. This is what they look for. So this is not my number, by the way. Ad spend per month. So we talked a little bit about that. We can skip that one. Payback period. All right. What is your guys' number one limiter on growth right now? So if we just instantly doubled your leads tomorrow, could you guys handle like double the number of leads? If you just like magically boom, leads are doubled, could you even handle that much? And what is the constraint? So if you think about the constraint in the business, so if you want to get the 800 new orders next year on top of what you're going to do now, what is the constraint? So if you think about the like hourglass, what's the choke point that would be the limiter on that? Is it number of leads? Is it number of reps? Is it number of channels? Is it cash? What's the limiter?
The leads and reps probably. And